What's up, everybody? It's me, Greg Miller, and this is the Tech Tower. Scott Lowe. Scott, if the pillow didn't give it away, we're at a PlayStation event here, playing the PlayStation 4 finally. Actually, hands-on, real OS. It's great. You've been fooling around with this remote play.
Yeah.
Is it everything we dreamed of? It's been promised since PS3, PSP.
Yes.
Now it's here. Vita to PS4. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so this was our first real demo outside of NAC. I think we saw it at Tokyo Game Show.
Sure, and even that was tethered.
Yeah, and it was like, kind of nebulous how it all works.
Yeah.
This is like, we actually watched it pair. We actually saw how it worked. It's actually kind of awesome because you can have your system paired and like go in and out of remote play without having to go back to the UI, which is awesome. Like you just begin the sync on your Vita and you're good to go. So we saw it on two titles that we have never seen before, on which is Need for Speed Rivals, which was actually like a blast to play. Like, it was, there was a few stutters here and there, but overall, like it was, gorgeous, presented on the OLED display.
Right. Even playing it, like, I'm not the biggest car race fan, more of a kart racer, but like playing it, I didn't notice like problems. You were talking about a stutter here or there. Like sure, it's something like a stutter in frame, but like not where I felt like I'm lagging. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like I was out of control at any point.
Yeah, there was, they kind of prefaced it like, there's been some latency problems just due to like the event networking and that sort of thing.
If people understand, we're in a hotel with every other room doing some kind of video game thing with a Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, so it's obviously very certain circumstance here.
Sure.
But yeah, there was not a ton of performance problems or stutter, but the visuals there's a little hint of compression there, but not nearly as much as you would expect. But what's interesting is you compare it either directly with the console offline, like over Wi-Fi, or route it through your router and have online support so you can play, like in the case of Need for Speed Rivals, where it's like kind of open world.
Right.
But we also saw it on Battlefield, which was a little less compelling, and who knows whether that's just the nature of the genre or just the context again.
Yeah, you're a big shooter fan. Was it wasn't fast enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, so shooters require like really low latency, just so because it's that kind of twitch gameplay, even for a slower shooter like Battlefield. And what I noticed was like, movements weren't as precise. So like the aiming reticule, like, usually it's like, kind of really, it moves around very gently and like in small increments, whereas this was like kind of like, there's a big swiping to the left. So it wasn't bad, it just wasn't really, playable in that way.
You have a refined palate for shooters.
Yeah.
And this tasted like dog food to you.
Yeah, but I mean, the other cool stuff is like seeing how they mapped it to the back touchpad.
Right.
Because obviously you lose controls. You don't have the ability to push in on the thumbsticks. You don't have, full-on triggers. So
doing it when I got to sit down and play with it, it was interesting that when I wanted to run, like there's at first, like first few steps trying to figure out what you're doing, but then when I was going for it, like there'd be a little graphic that'd pop up and tell me where I needed to put my fingers, and then I was going. It's like, oh, okay, I get this. Same with Need for Speed for instances. There was like, I can kind of figure out what this all does since there's no R2, L2.
Yeah. So basically, they break it into fours. Like it's a quadrant. So it's like top, bottom, on the left.
Yeah.
So, and that basically replaces L3, R3, and then R2 and R1, or L1. Sorry. So it's kind of an interesting concept. It worked surprisingly well, at least on Need for Speed, and I think it is the Battlefield thing again was kind of just a matter of context and just the nature of the genre. But overall, really impressed. I mean, I was kind of skeptical about remote play.
Me too, for sure. Especially after like Tokyo Jungle from PS3 to PS Vita. Even that like compression was bad, latency was bad.
Yeah.
This already better than that ever was.
Yeah, despite like the latency of the controls for Battlefield, like visually it looks great.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're going to be doing a lot of tests here once we get our PlayStation 4s home, right? You'll be doing a whole review. You'll be out there trying this remote play, putting up articles and videos on that IGN.com. You use it by doing this. Interesting thing to point out, too, a lot of people were tweeting at me about remote play saying, oh, that's cool, I hope they make it work. I hope that they eventually patch it for Battlefield multiplayer. That's not how remote play works. Remote play works for the game. Your Vita's a conduit. For a conduit like Infamous Second Son, where even when Infamous Second Son comes out, no matter the mode, you should be able to use it unless there's a camera. Stuff like Playroom doesn't work, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is that it is very much like it's a developer. Like developers have to embrace it to an extent, but it's such a small investment that it's not.
Need for Speed guys were saying it was super simple, right? It was like on their list of things doing, like, oh, we don't have time for that, and then it was like, here, it's just code. Just add this to your code.
And it maps surprisingly well.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you will be playing your games with remote play very, very soon. So make sure you tell us in the comments if you're excited for it, and then keep coming back to IGN for all this PlayStation goodness. Speaking of which, you start eating this end of the pillow, and I'll start eating this end of the pillow. I'm not going to do it. I bet Ben Kuchera farted on this, so I don't want it.